us are Freemasons, and that I am sharpening your stones as much as you're sharpening mine. And yesterday, Sterling Lee, a man I respect, posted something on one of my videos about, but when you really understand, James, we are all one. We are all one. And I'm not here to fight with Sterling. I'm not here to make him feel bad. I'm not here to win an argument. I'm here to sharpen your stone. And when you talk like that, when you say where we go one, we go all, and I know, Sterling, you're not a Q fan, I totally get it, but I want you to understand that when you adopt this philosophy that all is one, you are wasting the secretion of amnesia that God put so much time in so you could find yourself. And that we find ourselves constantly struggling to ground in who we are. And to hate the ego right now is exactly what keeps your mind like veal. Not saying you hate the ego, Sterling. But that yourself is going to be the hardest place to be, and it's going to be the only place that you will survive. And that the people that love you are the ones that are sharpening you as fast as they can. Show up with the dirtiest hands you can. Show up with the most mistakes in the back of your fucking truck. You will thank me. You won't remember who I am. You'll be back with God. You'll be one again. You'll know everything, and you'll miss that opportunity to dance with mystery. That every day you had a chance, you fucking clung to shit because you wanted to know. And people will know voting is real the same way they'll know COVID is real. They'll know those things. Do you know why they'll know it? Because someone told them. Because someone told them. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of stone to sharpen. You're a Freemason. You are. I get it. Oh my God, Freemason! But most of you guys have already fucking left who were on that kick. The rest of you that are still here, I know we just started streaming again, so probably some of you are like, Freeman, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? I get it. I don't need you to stay. I need to sharpen the stones that are still here. And I'm gonna take you fucking down, buddy. Because I know that when I take you down, someone else who's watching, someone else who doesn't have to know something is gonna see how foolish you were for insisting you had the fucking answer. Those are training wheels. Those are braces on your teeth. Anyway.
So you may recall me having said something along the lines of no one gets on board thinking they know something, and that you are the Illuminati, a small group of people who know far more about the way this world works than the people around you, and that this is the collective initiation, as spoken of by Greg Braden. We'll get back to some more of that. This is today's video by James True called New Moon, and the link is in the description. Now we're going to go over this Santilli telescope, which was only invented in 2015, was it released to the public, and Santilli, the scientist who released the truth bringer, as they call it, this Santilli telescope, his theories are debunked by mainstream science as fringe science, but what I'm about to show you is that this Santilli telescope method absolutely works 100%. And I would like to ask for some audience participation. That'll come a little bit later. So, today Boogeyman put out another video regarding this Santilli telescope. And we'll just go ahead and watch a second of that now because it is a good educational video. And he brings up a white paper that came from Harvard.edu that confirms and validates not only the usefulness of the Santilli telescope, but that we will need to employ it in order to detect invisible, unwanted surveillance above us in our skies. So, without further ado, let's hear what he has to say just for a second.
This video is going to be broke up into a few different parts. First off, we're gonna learn how to shoot the dome. And here it is. Now, you wanna hit the sweet spot. And it's this dark area of the glass, right where...
Okay, that's about enough. So he goes over basically a tutorial about how to use this Santilli telescope. But I think he may also be doing a disservice and discrediting the Santilli telescope at the same time, or he could be just drip feeding into the consciousness of the public the fact that this method works to reveal things above our head that do not fall within our scope of reality, without throwing people into shock and showing them what's really there. Because the images that he keeps showing, you have to twist your mind in order to see anything, and some of them are just so ridiculous that if anyone watches this boogeyman video and the images he's pulled from his Santilli telescope, and then I tell them, oh yes, that is exactly the same method by which I was able to extract images of the airborne aircraft carrier. Here, check this out. They will laugh. Oh, if they've seen Boogeyman's video first, and I tell them Santilli telescope, they will go, oh, how much do I have to bend my mind and squint my eyes to see whatever it is that you're imagining? Rather than what I'm about to show you that is undeniable, absolute, 100% certain, enough to convince a normie that we're not in Kansas anymore. And that's why I question the method of Mr. Boogeyman here and what his true intentions are. Because this is also a Santilli telescope, which I extracted the images from that I'm about to show you, that are so clear, you don't have to squint your eyes or bend your mind. So, this video is by a YouTube channel called KCKid913. Very small channel. The fact that I came across this and the fact that I extracted these images, along with the story about the fact that I went out to Missouri and went to this guy's house because he invited me there. And later on, before he met me or shook my hand, I never even got to see the guy, and he told me, get your car out of my driveway and don't ever come back again. There's a little drama there. We'll talk about that. But starting at the beginning, somehow this came across I somehow came across this. Now look how amateur this is, and recognize that you and everyone you know can begin to do this. And maybe that's what Boogeyman's trying to do. He's trying to get other people to extract the real images, and that's why he's just kind of showing you blurry, grainy crap. But what I'm going to show you is that this Santilli telescope method works. And remember again, it was only released to the public in 2015. And this guy, KC Kid, made this video in 2019. So within the 4 years that it had been released to the public, he was already receiving knowledge. Look how amateur that is. He's hanging it out his car window. It consists of a glass dome magnifier and a beautification mirror that also magnifies. You know, you can buy them at the beauty store, the mirror that magnifies your face. And you can buy one of these glass dome magnifying glasses at Staples. So you can see how it's not real obvious what there is to see. This is only like a 2-minute video where he's showing you what it's real easy to see what he's showing you. He's hanging that thing out his car door. It's in a bowl. You got to put it in a bowl, I guess, to cut down some of the light. This is also by KC Kid, where he took that video that I just showed you and slowed it down a little bit and showed you what there is to see. And the audience participation that I would like to ask of you is to take some images from this very video, run your own zoom and contrast, because what I'm about to show you is that from right here, this area right here, is where I took the screenshots that shows the airborne aircraft carrier. And the reason I know that is because this little object right here is what I've referred to as an high volt tether or electromagnetic thruster that is emitting a band of light around the object. And so my screenshot that I took comes from between the sun and this object. And so he just goes through and grabs some screenshots from his own video, and what he's mostly focused on is this red ball in the sky. Like it could be the red Kachina or another planet. So what you do is you take a screenshot. Around 7 minutes into this video, you can once again see this high volt tether. But it's also right here at the very first of the video. So you take a screenshot. And without even running any contrast adjustments, I can see a square right here, a rectangle. So this image right here is what I'm calling the high volt tether. And you'll see me explain in the videos that are linked in the description titled, Oops, Christ Did It Again, number 1, 2, and 3, where I print these images out, explain how I came about them, and show you that there are indeed mechanical structures in the sky that are beyond the scope of our imagination. So you zoom in. I don't know if you can see that triangle that's right there already. This little triangle here. You run some contrast adjustments, and let me show you what you can come up with, and that's the exact spot. Oops. This is the exact spot from which I took screenshots, zoomed in, ran the contrast, and you can do it multiple times. You can zoom in, take another screenshot of this, and then grab that screenshot out of your gallery and zoom in even further. Continue the process, run the contrast in between each screenshot, and let me show you what you come up with. These triangular craft that have 4 fins at the back of each one of them are parked 2 by 2 in pairs and have a runway. This is called X-ray images of an airborne aircraft carrier. These are the screenshots after I ran the extraction process, and this is what I came up with. One, two, and then it slides through it a third time. Oh, now it gone to a second screen. It runs through it 2 or 3 times. Now it goes to a third screen, runs through it 2 or 3 times, and all of these triangles are identical. They all have fins coming off the back. You'll see runways. See how symmetrical that is? That is an airborne aircraft carrier. That looks like blueprints. I'm going to pause this and zoom in, and that's what I'm going to ask you to do too, and go run your own contrast and see what you can pull out of there, because some of the things you're about to see, well, they should break the barrier of denial and introduce us to a whole new world that's always been, it's just new to us. So in the links in the description, there are many more images in the video titled, Oops, Christ Did It Again. Number 1, 2, and 3, where I explain what these images are, how I came about them. Okay, we're going to pause this here in just a sec, like right here. There is a craft here, 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 and here, and each one of them has a runway right next to where they're parked at. When you see this kind of symmetry built into a design of a structure, here are 3 more of them parked 1, 2, 3. These are the very same ones that I zoomed in on to show you at the very beginning that have 4 fins off of the back of each one of them. Seeing this kind of structural design shows a normie that the Santilli telescope works. As opposed to what I'm about to show you Boogeyman did, where he says, who knew there was a cartoon bear riding a Segway up in the clouds? Either he's trying to discredit himself and the Santilli telescope. I don't know what his angle is. But this is what I know I extracted from KC Kid 913's video where he hung that homemade device out his car door window. And from that little device, I extracted these images. It's clearly intelligently designed structure with craft all over it. Triangular shaped, identical craft with runways. Runways at each one of these. Notice, oops, the 3 dots that were behind those 3 craft. There's also 3 dots behind them. The symmetry involved in all of this is what proves beyond any shadow of a doubt this is intelligently designed structure of a craft. As opposed to Boogeyman's video, which shows absolute shit. So I'm hoping Mr. Boogeyman will take some more impressive images and attribute them to the Santilli telescope as to not discredit it in the mind of the people and actually encourage them to use this to contribute to this economic boom that we're in, because all wealth is knowledge and all economic growth is learning. And this is a big contribution to that new economic growth that we're going through right now. What he has done, not so much. But his heart may be in the right place. Maybe he'll come around. Till then, for those here on this channel, know that Santilli telescope works. And like he said, there's a sweet spot you got to hit. And you're not always going to catch these craft in the sky above you, only when they're there. He says, not every time you walk out in the road are you going to get hit by a car, only when there's one coming in your direction. In that video of KC Kid 913, you know for fact there is objects within that video because I've already extracted them, but I guarantee this isn't all there is to be seen up there. This is all extracted from one little tiny spot on that video. There's a lot more screenshots that could be ran through the contrast adjustments, zoomed in on, and Boogeyman is saying you need a high-power telescopic lens. I did everything with my cell phone. And KC Kid filmed his Santilli telescope that he hung out his car door window with his cell phone, so you don't need high-power telescopic lenses. Zoom in, take a screenshot, zoom into the next screenshot. You can do that infinitely. And for some reason, these images do not lose clarity and definition as you zoom in. They gain. It is like an X-ray with HD. A different type of image. And each one of those triangular craft look like this when you zoom in on it. Much like our SR-72 Blackbird and some of our other stealth fighter bombers. The fact that these all are parked symmetrically 2 by 2 with a runway at the end proves beyond any shadow of a doubt of a reasonable person that the Santilli telescope works, that there is actual machinery in the sky. Boogeyman's video does not prove either to the average person. In fact, discredits the whole concept. And the next time they come across it, when someone has something like this to show them, so if they've seen a Boogeyman video where he's showing them a cartoon bear riding a Segway, what he's calling blue Kachinas, going back to their God star, the dog star, Sirius. and that's a giant Nephilim on the back of the sun simulator. And whatever he says this is over here really don't matter. Once a person's seen that, they're off it. They're gone. They're like, I think there's a mud flood train coming through pretty soon. I'm not going to take the Santilli telescope train. Sorry, there's just a bunch of lunacy on there. But again, you do see this red ball. My point is, Boogeyman is going to take up this Santilli telescope method as his primary focus, and I think I might do the same. Because I can already see that I can extract more images from that one scene that I showed you that I haven't extracted yet, and there's a lot more to see there. So what I'm showing you here is this is a very small channel. 30 subscribers, 74 views 2 years ago. The only way this came across my path is through divine providence and the selfish ledger that I've spoken of that exists in the 3D world. But we won't get into that now. In the comments, I assume there's comments. Where's the comments? Okay, this is too weird. I just discovered another YouTube trick fuck that they're pulling. I'm pulling this video up from my other phone that I only use for electronic logging device. They don't really know that this is me on YouTube when I log in using this phone. But when I use this phone, it shows me my comment that I left down here saying, these are the images that I extracted from your video. And I left him a link to my video, X-ray images of airborne aircraft carrier. Here, as you can see, it says there's 7 comments, but there's only 2 that are visible. I would have to stop this recording in order to access this video from my phone and show you the comment that's in there, so it shows me that my comment is in there, but another person accessing the same video, because I accessed this less than an hour ago, and I saw my comment in the comment section. Now, less than an hour later, I'm accessing it from a different phone, and it doesn't show my comment. So I'll have to take a screenshot of the comment in his comment section using my phone and show you that this is another trick fuck that YouTube's pulling on us. Notice these 2 comments, and they will be identical to the screenshot I will show you in one of my upcoming videos. Because I remember that comment right there. I saw it when I looked at this video an hour ago, right below my own comment. I have to say, this is either biblical prophecy or something pretending to be. So there's the same 2 comments. And I'll show you when I access it from my phone and take a screenshot that I have a comment in there, but I'm the only one that gets to see it. Good chance KC Kid never even saw it. But I ended up going out to his house in Missouri because he invited me. He said, hey, if you're ever in Missouri, stop by. Well, as luck would have it, a day or 2 later, I was headed to Missouri. And at the time, I wasn't a truck driver, and he didn't even know I was a truck driver. So to make such a statement like, if you're in Missouri, stop by, he certainly didn't expect me to actually come, nor did I. That's a story for another time. Linked in the description will be these 3 videos. Oops, Christ did it again. These are all from that Santilli telescope screen capture, but that's not the only way to do it. Because I have captured these same type of images, like what you see here, by extracting image from my own video that I did not take through a Santilli telescope.
Christ did it again. The source video where I took these screenshots from is courtesy of KC Kid 913. Big shout out. What you're seeing here, I believe, in the video, you'll see this is the sun, and this is what I believe to be a high volt tether described by Ilana Freeland, also in a video that I will include in the description. The high.
So at the time, I was using paper copies because they were blurring out my screenshot slideshows, downgrading the pixels to the point where it would scramble the images so hard you couldn't even see it. But when the COVID hit, I got about 300 of my videos back that they had removed one by one quietly from the bottom up. And the screenshot slideshows were no longer blurred out. So in this video, it still seems a little grainy, even though I'm filming paper 6 inches in front of the camera. So maybe they forgot to upgrade this one back to 1080p or something. I don't know.
Description is to a video from Final Days. I'll refer to her as Final Days Lady because I don't know her name. She narrates the videos, and she describes this object that flies in front of the sun in alignment with the object that is eclipsing the sun as part of the sky concealment technology.
So I'm going to just ask you to watch the rest of these videos and cut straight to those objects that are eclipsing the sun now. This is a video that Mr. MBB333 put out just today, but it's happened multiple times. When the sun throws off a sun flare, it works like a camera flash and illuminates the spheres that are around the sun. Sometimes we've seen up to 3 of them. This was just from today. And I noticed at the end of his videos, he always throws a montage of some images, and he's got some new images in there. And one thing MB3 does a lot is show you stuff, but not really point it out to you. If you can see it, if you've got the eyes, he's showing you, but he's not gonna force you to see it. Prime example is from that very same video that he did today. You can see Mr. MB down here in the corner. He puts this up and says, "Oh, someone took a cool shot of a sunset." And when he's showing you that sphere that's by the sun, he even says, "Man, that looks like another sun behind the sun." But he fails to mention it when he shows you this. He just says someone took a cool photo of a sunset, and it's just not focusing for me. My point is, over here, you can see that that is a completely separate light source. That is not a piece of light breaking through the clouds like what might be happening right there. This is a separate light source. But Mr. MB3 fails to mention it. He just calls it a cool sunset photo. He is the governor and the regulator of Disclosure Road, and what this is telling me is Disclosure Road is accelerating because he is showing you now the spheres around the sun, the second sun. I think he might have even put the word Nemesis in the title. That would be the Destroyer, Planet X, Nibiru, Tiamat, by many names. Here's another example of the same thing going on here. That's the sun. You can see it's shooting a solar flare out that happens to be in the same direction of this sphere that's by the sun. That happened a few months back, and one channel caught 3 spheres right here next to the sun. I think a couple of different channels. I think Claudia Albers and Hush Puppy both presented those 3 spheres next to the sun during the last solar flare that went off. I'm recommending this guy's channel. Best Damn Podcast. I've watched his last 2 videos, 2-hour-long streams. And I'll get into his content a little more later because it deserves more than I have time left here on this video. But he has restored my faith. I was under the assumption that not all tards are libs, but all libs are tards, and he has dispelled that notion. He may speak with a libtard kind of accent and language, but if you listen to the substance, not the style or the green hair, this guy's going to be in a petri dish right next to mine or the same one. So if you want in on this economic boom, right here is a good place to start. Zoom in right here. Take a screenshot. I'm going to see if I can get that triangle because I can already see a rectangle in there. Take a screenshot. Run the lighting and contrast adjustments and see what you come up with. Or try it over here. Oops. Over here, or over here, or over here, or on any other screenshot in his video, and there's a good chance you'll be able to pull some good stuff. But I guarantee if you zoom in right there and run the contrast adjustments and then take a screenshot and zoom into that screenshot and run the process again, you'll be at the leading edge of where we're going. Or you can just make your own scope and get started on your own. But I think you actually have to show some willingness and a desire to know the truth before it gets shown to you. Muttering the words doesn't cut it. God knows what's in your heart and when you're really ready. Actions speak louder than words. Look how amateurish this is. This means anybody and everybody can do this. And if they did, we wouldn't be living in the world we're living in right now. And right now there's a process underway to dislodge us from the world we're living in and introduce us to the bigger world, the world at large. Because right now we're on an island prison, like Jim Jones' cult. And he convinced us all that we sprang up out of the mud. Not most of us here, but we live our lives as if, even those who claim to believe in God. And that's why they will say, oh, we prophesied and preached in your name and cast out demons. And he'll say, I never knew you. Because they wore it on their sleeve, not in their heart. Not in their deeds, only in their words. And if you want to show that you want to be part of this, your actions will speak to the source, to the divine. And it is only when you have that dripping with sincerity desire to know the truth that God allows you to see it and shows you the way, because he will not violate your free will. And saying a word or a sequence of words like prayer does not convince God that you're really ready and wanting and desirous of the truth enough that he could show it to you and that it would not send you into shock, put you in a state of dysfunction. So this is how easy it is. And the fact that it's this easy, yet still nobody knows, shows that it is not they, but we who keep our own minds under wraps. And they have trained us to do so. I'll talk about that a little more in another video, where anytime someone comes along information that they know is taboo, that they're not supposed to know about, they just run the other way. Like out of obedience to the censorship that they know that they're not supposed to have access to this information. And so they run the other way. And if you want to show that you want to run into the fire and you're not afraid to get burned, you'll come out the other side finding that you're doing just fine. I said, thank you, Lord, for thinking of me. I'm alive and doing fine. Woo!